My name is Jürgen Wastl. I'm Vice President for Research Evaluation and Global Challenges at Digital Science. I'm a molecular biologist by training. It was a long, long time ago. And I kind of moved up the evolutionary ladder of research from cyanobacteria, algae, higher plants, and then went into drug discovery. So I was working in agrochemical research. And then I moved back to Cambridge and worked with the Vice Chancellor for Research in order to do all sorts of research information gathering, reporting for government reports. I think that will be known to quite a lot of people reporting to the relevant instances and organizations. So I joined then Digital Science in 2019, and I became the head of the consultancy team at Digital Science. In terms of logos, that's this one. But there's a huge array of logos of all our portfolio companies. I will talk about them a little bit later because some of them are really very relevant for this talk. And for the last 2 years, I'm now part of the newly formed thought leadership team at Digital Science. In that team, we focus on different topics because we want also to put our stamp on and contribute to efforts in research about AI, about research per se. In my case, so the SDGs, and I'm delighted to see the SDG goals here in this room. So I'll come to that during my talk as well. We've got also vice presidents for research innovation, research future, open research, and research integrity. So this is the kind of a crack team of 5-6 people with relevant support by the company in order to talk to the community, to do research and work with our collaborators and clients. The objectives for this talk you will see displayed here. So I'll focus, after a brief introduction about digital science, on the technologist's dilemma. So I will not talk too much about the technological details of AI because I'm not an AI specialist per se. I'm dealing with AI every day, and so I'd like to focus a little bit more on what actually is AI and what does it mean to the researchers, what does it mean to us, and I'd like to introduce and talk a little bit about what is responsible AI, because I think that is some of the things that currently not too many people are worried about. Because every day there's something new with AI, but not too many people talk about the responsible use of AI. Then there will be a chapter about the existing contributions that we have and the kind of the development efforts that we do when it comes to AI and how we are transparent as much as possible about these things. And I'll talk about chatbots in research and further examples of AI in use. The idea is that I'll talk about 40 minutes. There will be extended lots of time for questions and discussions. And I also, if you want to, I can show you these AI software in use. So there's plenty of things we can shape it. If you have urgent questions, please do raise them right away. I'm usually not the type of person trying to lecture. It's more like a discussion. I will have kind of discussion prompts at the end as well. But yeah, so this is what you can expect for this talk. Good, you already see it, as I said before, these are the kind of portfolio companies, and we all do have contributions to make when it comes to AI and research. But before we start, I'd like to show you this slide. I did that one yesterday because every day, every week, there's something new about AI. And something that happened last week on the left-hand side, Google DeepMind published a report about a new golden age of discovery. The link is in the slide deck. I really do recommend you reading that one. It's 25 pages or so, but this is really a very good summary of what they do. Google DeepMind, everyone knows Google and their approaches to AI, to searches, to internet. This is really a good summary of their way of thinking when it comes to threats and opportunities when it comes to AI. I will come back to that later at the end of my talk. On the right-hand side, last week's was basically a few weeks ago. For the first time, 2 Nobel Prizes were somewhat linked to AI. So it was linked to machine learning and it was linked to protein folding in the Nobel Prize for Chemistry. And again, interesting per se, and we'll come to that in the discussion as well. What do we do? This is just a little collection of things that we deploy and that we collaborate with and engage. You won't see it, I think, in the back, but tagged are these kind of stories. So we do work with, for example, Lord Rees, also formerly of Cambridge, and his way of thinking about AI. He wrote a book about AI. There's also, we are present at conferences. We do engage with people that are at the frontier of AI research. We do work with Google DeepMind, just as not a disclaimer, but just to be aware, but not in a way that we collaborate on generating AI algorithms. That's their business. They also do lots on drug discovery, which we can discuss as well, and the pros and cons of that. On the bottom left, you see something that's a very quick analysis that an analyst of mine did. This is about where is research on AI published. You see a kind of a distorted global map. And there again, you see, like in so many cases, that AI is predominantly a global north story. The US, Germany actually is quite visible, Austria as well, Australia. But you see, for example, the global south, politically the global south, is basically, again, left behind. Again, that is something that I will come to back later as a kind of a threat when it comes to AI and responsible use. So this is what we do. We are a technology company. Our mission is that, and our vision statement is that we believe that research is the single most powerful transformational force for the long-term improvement of society. Now, that's a rather grand statement. Obviously, we are not the ones that do all the research, so to be a little bit more humble, what we actually try to do is we try to help research, the researchers, to make a positive difference to our world. And in that respect, we want to be responsible. And I would urge you to think about being responsible and do the right thing, hopefully, with researchers in the following slides to come. What we think is our vision is we want to be brave in the pursuit of the better. We want to be collaborative and inclusive, inclusive being a very important part of it. We always want to be open-minded and from and for the community. And for this talk, obviously, what does that mean when it comes to AI? We're not just talking about developing a software tool for collecting publications. We're not just talking about any sort of database that you may use for a dedicated purpose. This is really about the more grander things of thinking about AI and AI's role in society. Before that, we have to come back to our core mission. Digital science per se is a technology company. If you were to look at our HR spread, guess how many percentage of developers we have, coders, AI people, and so forth. It's actually not that large. I would have said there's quite a number of people in sales and marketing and HR. But still, we are a technology company, and we do have quite a huge amount of numbers of people working on AI. Now, we are kind of prepared to work in AI and with technology, and we struggle to make progress on these day-to-day base things. The likes of Google, Meta, Facebook, and all the others, what they throw at research, not necessarily research, on applications based on AI is huge. Is huge. I'm pretty sure you in your email addresses, in your email inboxes, you have spam email about, oh, there's a new thing, a product that can do this, that can do that. Literature reviews, drug discovery, depends on what you subscribe. And I mentioned it before already. There's actually a company that offers to write you fully fledged research papers. I got that one 2 weeks ago. You give the company 5 keywords, and they write a full draft for you. I haven't tried it because I don't trust it. And this is really one of the important words here, trust. This is not something that we as a company would do, because there's a thing about AI being trusted and the research being trusted. It's a general topic right now. If you look into the global scale of things, politics, researchers are not on the best side of things and they're not being trusted. Be it post-COVID and all the things, the kind of trust by the public by the ones that give the money for research, is actually evading. That's something that we need to keep in mind and that actually we have to counter. We need to get back the trust of the public in order to make our stance in here. So this is about the technologist's dilemma, and this slide kind of gives you now a few other things, which have nothing to do with AI in the first instance. But I'm pretty sure wherever you are you in a library, are you in a research office, are you in a departmental administration, you will have heard of all these things. And this is actually the pressure of the last 15, 20 years, at least as far as I'm in that sort of area. And this kind of, when it comes to technology, everyone thought, oh, these are kind of progresses because it's easier to analyze publications. It's easier to get rankings. It's easier to do all these sorts of things. The age index, which I thoroughly kind of hate, like with the impact factor. All the rankings, alternative metrics, do they have a place, yes or no? So these are all the things that, once implemented, they often change behavior. If in Italy, you are judged by the number of citations in order to get the money for your university, what you do is you cite yourself. You build citation cartels. If you have a game, academics are very, very intelligent to change the rules. Not change the rules, play to the rules and make them work for them. So what does that all say with AI? That's a big question. It all comes back to trust. So we do try to be trustworthy, and we do try to establish trust based on our systems and our programs that we develop. It's often difficult because, again, if you look into society right now, fake news, yes, you can use AI to determine and to detect them, but you can also use AI to produce them. How about elections being either pro or against, being faked, influenced, and all these things? So this is all, again, something that AI loses on positive vibes on, because it's been used in really to negative effects. So how can we build trust again into something that is about to change the world? Because that's for sure. AI is going to change the way we live. It already has changed the way we live, and you're using it all the day on your mobile phones. If you have the latest update on an iPhone or Android, all the things, AI assistants, AI something, AI looks into this. That has already been there. Also in other areas, I noticed that there are quite a number of librarians here. So what about paper mills? And all these paper mills, journals, and all these things, automated peer review. Again, is there AI? Has AI a role to play, or has it already played a role? We do quite a lot of things on analysis, as I said before, and we just published last week, not me personally, but two of my colleagues, published a paper in Nature on paper mills and faking research. I won't go too much into detail on this one. That's something for you to read through at your own pace. But again, so this is where we try to really explain on actually what's going on. And we use sophisticated, I would say, modern scientometric approaches to analyze via network analysis, these paper mills. There was another case 2 weeks ago. Who saw on X, if you are still there, or on Blue Sky, or on Facebook, there was someone who wrote, oh, I've been asked by a reviewer to add citations to my paper. That has nothing to do with the paper per se. So the person added them, and that actually also obviously kind of falsified the citation record in the paper. What we did is, so again, my analyst, so we kind of analyzed what this is, and we found the people behind that. So not that we want to pinpoint this is the reviewer who asked for that. Technically, it's possible to see it that way. But again, for your own musings, we've put out, we've currently started a list of small, crisp, short analyses on various interesting topics on a day-to-day basis, and we kind of analyze the citation network of these fake citations and how it influenced. And have, for example, past researchers been asked to do that as well, but they just haven't mentioned it? The obvious answer is yes. And this is the kind of things that we do, and also that we try to work with the community to actually unearth these sort of areas. Now, these were all different things about trust, about the general research ecosystem. But the question now is, what is responsible AI? If you are a company that is embedded in lots of technological development, this is really a crucial question. And all the kind of the trustworthiness hinges on how you deal with this question and how you make use of this. First of all, we can start by asking, what is artificial intelligence? Many may think, oh, that's the latest thing, basically 2 or 3 years in the making. That may be true for generative AI, but AI per se is a kind of a conglomeration of things that actually are rather old. Machine learning has been around for quite some time. And we, the company, existed since 2014. Since 2015, we use machine learning to actually enhance the metadata based on the publications. So you see on the right-hand side a screenshot, and this, our way of analyzing publications is based on classifying them by a disciplinary attachment. So we apply machine learning in order to find the best suitable field of research, the discipline, for an individual paper. We're not using the Web of Science journal classification. We do that per publication. Every publication is classified by machine learning on it fits best into engineering, and then it's material science, and then it's philosophy, and then it's fine art. We do that. Come back to that later. So this is about prediction, recommendation. There are false positives, there are false negatives, like with all things. It's also something that we need to be aware of with AI. And that also that kind of leads into the large language models of this world. But that's nothing new in a way. Machine learning has been around for quite some time. And my CEO, actually, I think he once stated, what data science is to statistics, AI is to data science. So that's the next level generation of things. By the way, this is our dimensions database, and you see here potentially fields of research. So this is the kind of the number of publications per field that we have. We've got several layers of it. So there's a main field of research or discipline and sub-layers. But also we've got something about RCDC. Has anyone heard of RCDC? Research conditions, health categories, broad research areas, health, blah, blah, cancer, science, and units of assessment. So for those with UK, yay, ref. And we've got sustainable development. I mentioned that because I was the one 5 years ago who used the language of the United Nations definitions of each individual goal to use that to generate a training set for machine learning in order to apply that to all the publications in our database. And not just the publications, all the grants. So we now categorize by this AI thing, as of 5 years ago. We can give you a good idea of grants in your institution or per whatever search field that you are interested in. What are they? Are they no poverty or gender equality? Are they cross-referencing? We can do all these things. It's not just about the technology per se. This I added because with AI, you've got more to think about. Not just about technology. There's also a society aspect, and there's an environmental impact. Not talking too much about that, but I can wholeheartedly recommend the book by Kate Crawford, Atlas of AI, which really does a good job of kind of taking the technological sting out of it and look at it from a different perspective. Because it is really important to not just look at it from from the technology perspective. And really it is about the society per se as well. As you can see at the bottom, none of this is simple, like with so many things in life. But as we are at the verge of this new revolution, so you could say there was the Industrial Revolution that really kind of generated a whole new explosion of technologies and life-saving activities. We are right now, I think, at the same stage with AI. AI already impacts on so many different levels in our life, be it health, be it social media, be it election, be it politics. So it really, I think, we are at the cusp, at the step to something that is really life-changing. Technically also, not technically, literally, culture is changing. So in order to think about that, what do we have to consider in order to be prepared for that and to make it work to our best and to make it work in a real way, not to make it kind of a negative feed that only gets in a downward spiral. These are a few things to be aware of. All of them are not simple. Think ahead. Now, think ahead. If you, what did I say a few minutes ago? Every week something changes. So how can you think ahead? This is really a complex feat, and no one, I think, gets it right now. But this is really something one has to be strategic, be it an institution, in order what you want to implement, how do you want to make use of it, and how do we want to make use of it in a responsible manner. Engineering with feedback. This is something that is very, very strong at our end, because whatever we do, and I'll show you a few examples in the next following slide, we do that based in connection with academics, with institutions, and with those that make use of it in order to really get it right. Now you may say, should that always be the case, that if you do a new product or you produce something new, that you have feedback? Yes, but you would be surprised by how many things are developed that have no feedback whatsoever from the client. For example, as I said before, this one software that produces fully fledged drafts. I'm not quite sure if they went into testing with a broad community, be it from different fields. Again, because maybe that's something for the discussion. If we think about, it may do it by, let's say, generative AI in the life sciences, but then if you want to write a review article about the Venus of Willendorf, it will fail, horribly fail. So this is really something important to think about. The next sentence, I also come back later, but is it really what the people want and what they need? Again, there's a distinction, I'll come to that back later. Be transparent. Again, this is something that society and I think politics wants us to do, and I think has a right to do, in order what's going on, what can we do with it? And also be sustainable, be equitable. These are the kind of the cultural aspects of AI that I think so far many kind of brush a little bit under the carpet, because it's all about technology, it's all about money, it's all about power. Good. Now what do we do? With the kind of focus on transparency. As we are a company, so we produce products. You've got here 3 products, Dimensions, ReadCube, and Writeful. These are, I think, the most advanced at our end when it comes to the use of AI. We've got others as well, but Dimensions, I already mentioned the classification schemes, SDG, fields of research codes. We also we automatically extract research integrity data. So for example, in full text publications, you have conflict of interest. You've got ethical statements. You've got all sorts of different ways that you can think about of research integrity and trust in a paper. We do extract these automatically and add them to the metadata in order to provide them in the database. We don't do the analysis per se. This is something for the user. how they want to engage with that. So for example, if you want to look at the university or at your research institution on how do our schools or faculties or departments, how do they engage with ethical research and with ethical statements in publications? So for example, you see a department, 60% of their publications do have an ethical statement. In another department, only 20%. There may be valid reasons for that. So one is a department of public health and for clinical trials, and the other one is a department for fine arts. So, but still, we want to make these data available to the users, and to institutions and to researchers to make best use of it. Rightful is something that helps researchers in writing papers. It's not just about grammar. It's not just about spelling checks. It is really about getting more sophisticated with the way of writing. It's, I wouldn't say at the early stages, but it's only a fully fledged product, like so many others are around. But we also, we really do strive for making it right with the context and in context of the feedback of the users. ReadCube and papers, I'll come to that back, and we can also play in the demo afterwards how you can actually chat with a paper. So this is something that we produced rather a few weeks ago only. I also want to briefly mention experiments. This is not meant to be a marketing slide and, oh, look what we have. We did actually experiment with quite a lot of AI assistants. First of all, the word AI assistant. It's not an academic. I still think that with AI, you don't supplant the kind of the researcher's intellect of making a new idea work. You only assist the researcher in actually getting to grips with the huge amount of data that is out there. It's an assistant, it's not the academic per se. AI is not intelligent. That's my kind of stance on it. We did work with various AI assistants. We also use them internally. So for example, you've got a huge support knowledge database, and you can actually use AI to ask your support knowledge database, of like the frequently asked questions set, in order to get a fast, quick answer. But as you grow as a company, you've got 10,000 frequently asked questions, all based on what clients wanted to have inbuilt and a few things more. And an AI assistant can actually help you in getting faster to what's been done before. Technically, yes. But really, based on the expertise that we had internally, it's not that simple, not that tricky. It is actually very tricky to make these things work. And these are so far not a way. So we think, even though that they are assistants, it needs to be really carefully taken care of what you actually feed into it and what you get out of it. Like with the good old database, garbage in, garbage out. But there's an additional level of complexity. It's what you give it, maybe really excellent data. But if you ask the wrong question, again, the data will be crap. So this is one, don't read the one on the left-hand side. This is just the example, because I'm the one for the SDGs. So with the SDG classification, what we tried to achieve here is also to make SDG relevant data readily available for analysis. So on the right-hand side, you see quick analysis on the citation average versus per impact type by SDG or non-SDG research. So you see, for example, the impact type is technological, political, legal, health, economic, cultural. The bar charts then divides the citation averages, and purple is non-SDG tagged and blue is SDG tagged. So you see actually the areas per impact type, political, cultural, technological, and split by SDG or not. That's a matter of 10 seconds. Which you couldn't do before. But with the machine learning that we've done, it's actually, yeah, you've got it in a dashboard or you've got it in your BI software. Same can also be done for grants and all the things. So this is really just things that we do and that we support research and analysis. But we also We also strive for working with the community and produce and give back to the community and be transparent about this. Not quite sure if either of you saw the picture on the left-hand side. This actually was our CEO, so he's a very smart guy. And he, in the early days when the picture producing AI came out, he asked a question. AI, give me the picture of half a banana in the hands of a monkey. Is that half a banana? It's two. This actually led to, or at the time, this was what was in everyone's inbox as well, hallucination. Were you to ask ChatGPT-3 or think, it was all about, did it get the data right? It just gave back a text that sounded good, but if you were from the field, you thought, really? And actually, this kind of visualized what actually could go wrong and did go wrong quite a lot. Those that do provide these AI chatbots, in the meantime, they learned. But still, you have to be really careful what AI generated and brings back to you in order to see if it makes sense or not. And that actually is then proof of the academic laureates. On the right-hand side, this is a paper, again, about transparency. This is how we applied an updated version of the fields of research, because in 2008 was the first one. In 2020, it got completely redefined, and we made publicly available the way we've done it and the way how we apply disciplinary boxes to all the papers that we analyze. Again, links is in there. Good. Coming closer to the technology per se. So, as I said, we dealt with AI assistants, but we produce in the meantime software that is available. And the first one I want to show you is Dimensions Research GPT. It already sounds like ChatGPT in a way, and this is the answer or our response to what ChatGPT made actually wrong, all the hallucination things. Because ChatGPT has basically the whole internet as a kind of a training data set. Does the internet know about the papers and the research that's been carried out? You can ask ChatGPT, oh, give me the paper of X, Y, and Z. It said, oh, sorry, I'm wrong. I give you another one. That didn't work. What we said is, this was a collaboration then, not a collaboration, but we gave the two versions of all our papers to ChatGPT and say, use this as your training model. So when you ask a question to ChatGPT and you want a reference, be it a grant, be it a publication, it only goes back to our database and it presents you with the link to the publication in the database in order to avoid hallucinations. And there are two ways of doing that. This is the timeline. Won't go too much into the timeline, but again, this shows what we did. So we engaged with the sector, engaged with lots of academics. We had various approaches. Some of them were good, some of them were less good. But early this year, we launched this Dimensions Research GPT. And we have two versions. I'll come to that in a minute. But this again shows you a bit more information about what this is. It is, as you'd expect for a ChatGPT, it's an interface, but this is to the world of research. It's not just the internet and gives you fake news. This is about, it goes back to, it is trained on the data of either all full text publications that we have, or actually also the open access corpus that we have. Open access corpus as in everyone can use the data. It is powered by ChatGPT. And as I said, the ones with open access, if you have a ChatGPT license, you get dimensions built into it based on your license. There's lots of these things available. Hang on. where you go into Research GPT, and the one on the left is the one that uses open access publications, and that one is free. So you get our database for free, because this is open access anyway. But you can ask GTP. I can show you later, if you're interested, what this looks like. There's another version, the Research GTP Enterprise, which has all the full text publications in it, all the grants, clinical trials, patents. But we can't make that free, even if we would like to make that free. Guess why? Because of if we use full text publications, there is licensing agreements. We have publications from Springer Nature, Elsevier, Wiley, all the others, and we are not allowed to put them out and make use of them in these sort of things, because they want to do it themselves, or they want to do it differently. So this is only just possible if you have a license to Dimensions, because with a Dimensions license, this is covered. What this Research GTP also doesn't do, and this goes back to our values. Technically, you could ask ChatGPT, oh, what's the age index of Professor X, Y, or Z at the University of Vienna? It may give you something, don't know. But with our ChatGPT version, that's not possible. It doesn't give you age index. It's not a tool to actually go for these impact factors, age indices, and all the things. It's not a system for ranking. And that hopefully sets the mind at ease for a number of things. Yeah, as I said, we can make a demo later. And this comes now back to the challenges and actually what researchers think about AI. On the right-hand side, you see Google. What people have done for the last 20 years by now, even longer, you type a question into Google and you get a search result. In the early days, it was 10 or 15, if you were lucky. You could scroll them all through. Nowadays, you get 3 million results. And actually, it's get more sophisticated. Google gives you data. It knows, oh yeah, you ask for something scientific. You get your archive preprints. You get various other things. People also may ask, like with Amazon, so you Googled for something or people bought something like this. You may be interested in that. So these are all the algorithms that Google builds on top of their search. AI generated. The thing is, does it work on a scientific level? We believe no, because when you ask Google, or the researcher wants an answer. I ask you this, I give you that. But actually what people need is a route to explore the scientific landscape. People back then in the libraries, they went to the library, looked for books, did cross-referencing, extracted stuff. They didn't go into the library. I take the first book, because the index says this is Newton's Philosophica something, and there's the answer. It never worked that way. But people nowadays think it works that way because of AI, and AI can't do that. That's my belief, and that's our belief. And as I said, the second point, so people are familiar with Google. So people are trained to, oh yeah, let's use Google, or Bing, or others in that case. Actually, researchers also need to learn how to use AI to make it work for them, and not let them give answers that Google or a company or someone else wants to give them for whatever reason, because that may be biased. As I said before, these are the kind of the 4 companies that, portfolio companies that do work with AI solutions. We've got other things there as well. So I think the time is really not there to go into everyone's detail. But we do have automated reviewer finder with dimensions, coding help, and all the things. The third one, generative AI to query specific PDFs with papers. That's something that I'd like to show you in a demo. We now have sentiment analysis. I have to say, I'm not the specialist on sentiment analysis, but Altmetric does work on sentiment analysis for quite some time. There's actually, if you look tomorrow into Altmetric, there will be a product launch Last week they launched using clinical guidelines as a source. Tomorrow there's something else that will be announced. And yes, so just want to keep it as such. So we do have, based on our portfolios, quite a lot of things that we believe make lives of researchers easier and hopefully better when it comes to their respective endeavors. This again is the same timeline with the one edit with the chat PDF. You see in the last line. So this was launched on the 4th of September. This actually is a marketing slide. So I don't want to have this as a marketing thing, but you see that there's this little video and what it actually can do. And this is really a neat way of doing things. The first question that I always receive, oh, can this do literature reviews? Systematic reviews? No. You won't believe how many companies or how many providers tell you how easy it is to make a literature review. Now, for those people who always or who engage in literature review, it's complicated. It's not easy, and they make you think, oh, let's have 50,000 papers on drug discovery, and we find the new molecule that is the one molecule that cures brain cancer. It doesn't work that way. It can assist you in analyzing the data. But for example, what you give it as the pool again, as the training set. For example, this comes back to what I said before. If you train AI with AI-created data, you kind of you miss the trick in a way. So you are kind of already in the saturated phase. There's nothing new. There's no new knowledge to be gained. That's really something important to be aware of. So what this chat with a PDF actually does is it allows you to engage with a paper and ask the paper as it would be a person. So you can ask it about, in figure 1, what is this? Or if you are a reviewer, what would you think this paper lacks? I tried it based on my own papers from back then. I was surprised what it found, what reviewers had missed. So it can be good, but also it is in the eye of the beholder, the person using it. It doesn't give you the answer. This is it. This paper is crap. This paper is stellar. This is a Nobel Prize winning paper. This is really about what you ask and what you engage it with. There's so many papers out there, and I really don't envy researchers nowadays going through the entire literature and trying to find and carve their new slice of research that they want to do without it actually having been researched before. It all depends on, is the data already out there? Has it been made public? And all the different things. It is really complex and complicated. So this tool actually helps them engage with already published research and make 150-page long PDFs, potentially a little bit easier to digest. So for the summary from the DS perspective, AI is something that we need to treat with care. I hope I could show you that with the responsible use of AI and the trust issues around it, it is a complex minefield. And particularly software providers need to make sure that what they do is the right thing, and it is with the sector, with the people, in a collaborative spirit, and it follows proper rules. The third point also shows we need to be open to failing, changing course. Not everything that everyone does is the best thing since sliced bread. So we need to be aware that some avenues of working with AI may actually lead to nothing, or may not be the thing that we believe is worthwhile pursuing and giving to the research ecosystem in order to improve, enhance new knowledge creation. We also, again, we need to take steps to control ourselves, and it's going to be an iterative journey all the time. Coming back to what I said in my first slide, the Google DeepMind report. These are the two kind of main figures, as far as I'm aware, on this thing. You see on the left-hand side the opportunities to accelerate science with AI, so the opportunities. On the right-hand side, you see the risks, according to that report. I do broadly agree with it. I have to say it is written with the mind of drug discovery. Google DeepMind did not make immediately available the code for AlphaFold 3. As you know, there's this algorithm that can basically, in theory, model proteins, and this is very essential for drug discovery. It only in the third iteration is capable of doing something, and this is actually what the Nobel Prize was given out for. There was immediate backlash from the research community for this Nobel Prize, because it wouldn't have been available if for the last 50, 60 years, or even longer, starting with Fred Sanger, had done protein crystallography. 50 or more than 50 years of hard labor by really gazillions of protein crystallographers in actually making the underpinning data. AI is not the kind of invention of something out of the blue. It really lives on the results of generations and generations of researchers. Even of me, I did protein crystallization once, so that's why it's a little bit of an egoistic thing here. So it's about the data. We already touched upon the data already. So what about if the data is not there, or it is not in the right format, or it's incomplete? Who's the judge of that? AI is only as good as the training set that you give to it, and that it kind of can then train its algorithms and do all the optimizations. But who tells it, or how do you as the end user know that this is the right data set, or this is a complete one? So for example, with the open access one, so how many open access articles in history are out there? Does it make it a good training set or a bad training set? PubMed Central, obviously, you may think, oh, there's lots of publications out there. But what is the percentage of PubMed Central to all publications? Another context, for example, would be, and I also discussed it before the talk, in the German language sphere. They still say KI, künstliche Intelligenz. In any sort of English or non-German publication, it's AI, artificial intelligence. You can look at the citation rates of KI publications in a German context versus AI publications by German speakers and AI being cited in a non-German context. You can do that with symplectic fairly easily. There is actually a difference. So, and again, it goes back to what is the underpinning data set. Do we talk about KI? Do we want to train German AI KI training models? If you want to, fine. But this is something, there's a huge, vast area playing field of what these training models can be like. And who's the judge of that? I think it's more risk than an opportunity. That's just my point on this one. Solutions, point number 5. Again, this goes back to drug discovery. So they identify novel solutions to problems with large search spaces. Having worked in drug discovery in an industry context, that's a bit of a, how to say, they want to advertise that it's possible. Drug discovery over the last 20 years was always difficult. It got bigger and better, and there were bigger data sets and lots of different things out there. But is it the one thing that solves all the problem? I don't think so. It will help solve things and it will help accelerate stuff. But can it be the one and only? Don't think so. The risks that the DeepMind report identifies, I agree with them. I would have put equity and environment a little bit higher than they would have done. because you remember the thing that I showed you about AI publications? Africa is basically non-existent. And I think the risk is that by giving AI or producing AI just again for those that can afford it, just for the ones that have the money, just the ones that are advisors to governments worldwide, may actually be not so good. Also the environmental aspects. Google already bought, I think, its first small nuclear power plant. Guess why? Because they need electricity for the server farms to cool them down. I don't have actual statistics, but I think it would be interesting to see how much the energy levels are at Google, or generally speaking in the global north, for those that do work on research. Also, maybe your university, maybe there's now sustainability programs in university. The computer science faculties, do they need more energy because of a bigger refrigeration unit or air cooling for all the server farms that they have somewhere? That's all part of it. And this is really very, very intense when it comes to using energy and resources, all the calculations. Now, the companies, they realize that, and they start now building smaller training models. Because for the last 2-3 years, you saw exponential rise in the training set. How many billion tokens that could be added, and everything was always better with twice or 3 times or 10 times more training data. But that comes at a cost, at a huge cost, and lots of different, in the literal cost of energy. Now they are kind of going back to, let's build some more sophisticated, smaller training models, more dedicated to a particular area. It's not just because they want to be better, it's just because they don't have the energy to do it and don't have the capacity. So I think this is really a risk when it comes to AI, also the research ecosystems. These are now some statements for discussion, so for later. So I will just point them out, maybe add a sentence or two, and then we can open up for discussion, or I can start with a demo, depends on what we want to do. The first point I already made, sort of. Scientific data is uncollected, partial, uncurated, or inaccessible, making it unavailable to train AI models. I think many people would agree that this is true, but how would you circumvent that? How can you make data more accessible? There's lots of pushes currently, particularly in the European space, on making data fairer, more accessible. The question is it enough? Or is it irrelevant? Again, that may be something for discussion. The one on the bottom left is, again, also, I think, a really interesting one. It's about what does policy do with it? The policymakers. We know the European Union has a thought of idea of implementing guidelines on the ethical use of AI. Usually policy lags behind a couple of years when it comes to implementing something. But as we've seen with the huge speed of AI and the development, can policy actually keep up with that? And what is the solution to that? Again, that's something that's maybe worthwhile a discussion. And the third point is about scientists themselves. What do they think and what do they make of generative AI models? And this goes a little bit again into the research culture of things. So as I said before, what do they want and what do they need? If researchers want to stick with Google search, but on steroids, then the AI as it currently is I think enough. But is it the right thing? I think researchers should be well aware of the shortcomings of AI, but use also the positive aspects of generative AI in order to advance their thinking and their creative thinking. Because creative thinking is not something that AI has inbuilt. And from my point of view, will never have inbuilt. But maybe with the podcast, if someone in 1 year's time or 100 years' time will listen to it, they will make sense then of, oh yeah, what he said was utterly wrong. Or what he said, it was right. He had some points. So that's kind of the discussion for for later. So thank you for your attention.